Oh yeah,
Okay,
bud.
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see.
Indeed, we will.
Who is this? From Cada of Mercia?
You've never heard of him?
No,
Very
never.
small channel. Yeah.
Never,
He does a
not
lot
at
of good
all.
stuff, though. I mean, he
He's
doesn't really
bigger than
upload much,
me.
though.
He's bigger than me, and I haven't heard of him. I mean, I'm just saying.
He doesn't do... He's all about quality, you know what I mean?
True, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So he does a
Let's
couple
see.
small videos a year.
Okay, so he's like video essaying this thing to death, essentially.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of all of the Starship Troopers extended media and the like, but I think the political filter of it all, and how Paul Verhoeven created a flawed adaptation. I just watch the video, man.
All right,
Let's
guess we'll
just get
jump
stuck into it.
We'll jump into
Yeah.
it. The political filter of Starship Troopers. I feel like this would be a good one for Nelia too when she comes back.
Oh yeah, actually no, this would you could repeat the video. You get your recording software set up.
What's up? Oh no, I'm already recording and everything. No, I was just drinking some tea. But yeah, no, I think this would be good for her too because, she seems to be quite enjoying like her awakening essentially.
Oh yeah,
And
no, this is
something
okay.
healthy for her to see as well.
Yeah, this is a different perspective from you though, because this is very libertarian from a perspective.
All of the libertarians are dead. The ones nowadays are fakes. That's a absolute fact.
Give it a listen.
Must have been around
All right, fine, we'll start.
the age of 12, bright-eyed and without a care in the world when I first browsed YouTube. This was the era of Leroy Jenkins, Ray William Johnson, who I've
Leroy Jenkins. I freaking love that shit, dude. It's still good. It's still good. And they all have to jump in after, like, oh my god, okay, he's going in, come on, let's go. At least I got chicken. Oh shit. Well, anyway, let's continue.
just looked up, and he's still producing utter slop and making bank from it. And Halo montages in 240p to the tune of Drowning Pool. One day, after deciphering some moving hieroglyphics and realising I was watching Master Chief turning aliens into glowing puddles, the algorithm had a cunning idea. I don't know exactly when or how, but I ended up on a video about a game I'd never heard of called Starship Troopers, and naturally took to it like a moth to a flame. The game was released in 2005 and was actually ahead of its time if you think about it. Call of Duty World at War was the debut of the Zombies mode and would be released 3 years later than this, the same year that Gears of War 2 released with its Horde mode. I still haven't played this game and don't imagine it was all the same as this level, though it is an ideal setting for a Horde mode style game. But there was one pervasive problem for wee little Cheada. This game was Windows only, and it would be a good few years until I'd reach the next stage of evolution and assimilate to the PC master race. By all measures, this game apparently sucked, but I didn't know that or care. My days were already a blur of going to school as an annoying obstacle, in between sessions of birdie blokes in sci-fi armour splatting bugs in Halo and Star Wars Republic Commando, and I only wanted more. In fact, it's a real mystery as to why I never took to Warhammer 40k when my friend showed the tabletop game to me in high school. I was still in luck, however, as this game was based off a movie, and by all measures the movie was apparently really good.
We don't mention any of the other ones.
Well,
the rest
actually,
of them don't exist.
You paused it at the right time.
The rest of them don't exist. Absolutely not. Nope.
Okay. Well, I can actually explain that. The two live action sequels are terrible, but the two CGI films are really good, and the CGI series and the anime.
That's okay.
Anime is actually older than the movie adaptation. And I can guarantee you have never seen it.
They are. I guarantee, though, that without having. Wait. CGI, you mean the ones that are basically just like animated?
Sorta. It's the ones with the halo-looking Marauder armor, because the Marauder suit
Oh.
has the curse of never being the same twice.
They weren't bad.
Yeah, I mean they're fine movies. They're schlop films, but they're decent schlop films. You know what I mean?
They just don't hit like the original does. Which is it's kind of funny and sad at the same time, because if they could have recreated that in the second one, man, that would have been amazing. But no, they had to even go harder in the opposite direction.
Well, the issue with the second movie is mostly budget, because actually the plot isn't terrible.
No, well, yeah, I mean it's not terrible, but freaking
And actually, the third film's great in terms of what it added, because it added the Marauder suit back. And
I
actually, one of my
guess
favorite design of it.
I guess,
Well,
but
my favorite design is the '98 anime, but in terms of it being like more mech, gotta be my favorite.
nah, it can't beat Pat Labor for me.
Yeah, teach their own.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the faithfulness to the original material.
Oh no, yeah, faithfulness goes to the '98 anime because Heinlein directly worked with Sunrise for it.
Oh, I
He
didn't know
actually
about
died.
that.
He actually died 4 months before the anime release. So the very first episode has a in memorial to him.
Well, okay. Rest in
And the
peace,
anime was
dude.
never released over here because it only got 6 episodes, and was in Japanese hard disks. Essentially, it was in basically it's on Internet Archive and YouTube. That's the only place you can find it.
Fudge sticks.
It has some great designs actually. If you want to, since we're on the tangent, you might as well look up 1988 Starship Troopers Marauder suit. It's also one of the very first power suits in media, just in general.
I might have seen them before.
Look up artwork and then Studio Sunrise. Yep, that's them. They pretty much directly inspired Robotech
Yeah,
Macross.
I was gonna say it gives me a little bit of that from here. Well, that's
Well,
pretty
they
cool.
directly copied this design, like literally, and the foldable weapon they carry, like the foldable machine gun,
Yeah.
directly comes from this.
Well, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it
it's a
out then.
decent anime. Yeah, it's done by the Gundam. It's 2.5 hours and it's done by the Gundam people, so the animation's not terrible. The only issue is the arachnid design is just awful. It's these weird like pink monster things. The rest of the anime is so good, and then it's just this one terrible thing that kind of holds it back. Anyways, not to get too
Set my little
sidetracked.
fingers to work on
Not to get too
finding out
sidetracked.
how to watch it, and I think this is when I managed to get my head around what a torrent file is, but one way or another, I succeeded. I watched it and definitely spurged out when I heard the track Klendathu drop for the first time. I got what I needed, and that was that. Off to consume the next power fantasy.
We are going in with the first wave. These more bugs for us to kill. You smash the entire area. You kill anything that has more than 2 legs. You get me? We get you, sir.
We get you, son.
As we enter the next phase of this story within my adult life, my biases going into this video will be laid bare. So I will say now, if you're expecting a moderate position on the discourse which so often pops up surrounding this franchise, you'll be disappointed. And if you expect a left-wing position on it from me, I know where you live, and I'm rapidly approaching. Like lots of other people in university,
I like his energy. I freaking love that.
I developed a taste for exploring politics. Not in a policy wonk kind of way, where these tastes lie in reading Guardian opinion pieces and then tweeting about the effects of a 0.2% rise in yearly carbon emissions will have on the trout population of Kenya. More in a way that involved sliding into radical libertarian theories that none of my peers shared, so in order to explore that further, I had to turn to the internet, a lot like I did to get my fix of bug squashing back in the day. And that's how the journey to this channel began. Near the deepest depths of this ideological rabbit hole lies agorism, which I actually made my second ever video about, and it's a very niche sub-ideology with a bit of a potent identity crisis. Despite this, it has its own small but established canon, with a key influence being a science fiction novel named The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by a very well-regarded author called Robert A. Heinlein. Who is this chap, I wondered? Well, there's nothing quite like Wikipedia for that sort of question, is there? Okay, a friend of Isaac Asimov, that name's familiar. Stranger in a Strange Land. Starship Troopers? As in that cheesy old action movie I obsessed over for a week as a kid. Yeah, it turns out this was firstly a literary work, and I couldn't connect the dots as to how an author so cerebral, innovative, and politically complex could write a novel which, when adapted, seemed like little more than a very cool boyhood power fantasy which could genuinely be used by the US military as a recruitment campaign.
Oh, yeah, and how effective it would be, man. I remember when they started really going hard on like the ads on TV for like recruitment. And there was like a recruitment splurge a few times they did that. And like there was a Marine one where you like the guy like runs through a gauntlet like it's a 90s action movie starring whoever you want, just put them in there from the 80s and 90s. And you know, at the end of it all, the Marine has to grab a sword and fight a demon. Like like a goddamn
Was it those
movie.
like those Doom 3 ads?
It looked like a Doom type of
Like,
demon, yeah.
well, no, I think Doom like cooperated and just was like not rented out, but like you know what I mean, like.
No, it wasn't one of those for sure. I never saw one of those. That's amazing that even happened. But yeah,
No,
no.
Doom 3 was big. Yeah. It was something that just like came and went though.
Interessante. But yeah, no. Yeah, but in the end, like, you know, he defeats the demon, you know, with his sword, and then he suddenly morphs the uniform on and he starts doing drill and ceremony right after he just fought a demon.
Hoorah, Marines!
I was like, what the fuck?
No, that's peak though.
It's a good time though. It's a good time. Right? I bet if I was like 20 years younger back then, I'd have been like, "Oh my god, I want to be a Marine,
If
mommy."
I saw that, I'd join.
Can I be a
cool.
Marine? I get it.
Only problem, older brother's friend was a Marine, and I actually wanted to be a Marine, but he turned me off that idea real quick.
Yeah, understandable.
Anyways.
Wait, you mean I'll have no choice what job I get? What if I don't want to be a truck driver and I want to be infantry? Doesn't matter. You'll be a Marine.
Well, see, he was in the tanks, and he's like, okay, I want you to lay down, but in the most uncomfortable way possible. And then I want you to stick your toes in an ice box, and then you're gonna sit there for 8 hours.
Shit, son. Try encasing yourself in nothing but ice with just a thin layer, right, of like oh, what's it called? It's rhino gear, which is just essentially cold weather, like light cold weather stuff. Do that for like a week straight and don't move from that spot. Let's see what happens.
All right, this may be a dumb this may be a dumb reason, but the reason I will never join the military is every time like I have indigestion, you know what I mean? You know, I praise be whatever god that plumbing exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
I get
yeah.
about yeah, like I don't care how much they're gonna pay me. If I get a single stomach ache and I'm like I have to use a bucket or something, no.
See, that's why you be an intel guy, and you never ever have to go overseas.
Ah, that's true.
You sit somewhere like here in
But
the U.S. more often than not, or like if you do go overseas, it's like a cushy place, like freaking Qatar or something like that.
that's
Freaking
true. That's true.
London or Tokyo or somewhere.
Korea. Actually, I
Uh,
heard Korea's pretty bad though.
bad for what?
Oh, I just know a guy who was stationed over there, and he was like, it was just a giant mess, essentially.
Well, yeah, it's always been a
But
giant mess, but for slightly different reasons over the decades, right? We used to have a saying: the fastest way to make E6 in Korea, right, is to go there as an E7.
that's a good one.
It's so true, though. It was so true. Anyway, let's continue.
We'll come back to the crucial point of how this metamorphosis happened later. After all, this is the author in whose other book has been mentioned, featured a key protagonist called Prof, who said as follows.
Wrong
A
way,
rational
Badger.
anarchist believes that concepts such
I was like, wait, what is it? I was looking at it. I was like, oh, that doesn't look right. Anyway.
as state and society and government have no existence save as physically exemplified in the acts of self-responsible individuals. He believes that it is impossible to shift blame, share blame, distribute blame, as blame, guilt, responsibility are matters taking place inside human beings singly and nowhere else. Heinlein's political views were complicated, sure, and while the heroes of that novel have clever but certainly straightforward views, that wouldn't necessarily mean that the author also does entirely. Science fiction is, after all, often an exploration of utopia and dystopia, with highly exaggerated or idealized people and places, and this sentiment expressed here could possibly be more of an experimental amplification of a principle which he actually personally held to more moderately.
No, actually, these guys, this is a common misconception I see. But it's understandable because he's most likely a young man who's never been to places where this stuff's basically a reality. So he's not well traveled, is my assumption. But it's not an extreme because there are plenty of real life examples. Plenty. Throughout history, in the present, right? In the immediate
Well,
past. Yeah, so that's saying it's exaggerated extremes, these novels and books and stuff. Nah, not so much. It's understandable
no,
he would see it that way though.
he means more so in the form of government in the book. The governments themselves are basically the logical conclusions of modern day politics, and that's kind of what the whole video is centered on. I think you're just misreading what he's trying to say. He isn't saying like stuff like that can't exist. He just means not to that extreme level. Or so.
No, that has existed at the most extreme level.
Sure, but looking at our current modern political sphere, we don't have one national government that controls everything. Theoretically.
Well, I mean, here
we are not all.
that's an absolute yeah, because otherwise there wouldn't be anything bad going on in freaking Minnesota or LA or whatever, right?
Well, no, it's the whole world is not working together under one united common goal as of right now.
What do you think the globalists
In the moon is a hard. Well, that's what they're trying to do. Doesn't mean that's what's actually happening.
What's up? Okay, give me a sec. I'll be back. Something's probably here.
Gersh, welcome.
All right, let's get back to it. I think we were talking about the moon.
Yes.
Heinlein certainly was not a selfish man, a typical libertarian caricature, and believed greatly in people doing good to others so that a rising tide may lift all boats, and in a very similar sense believed in the necessity of civic duty, the other side of that same coin, where all members of a society chip in to make great sacrifices up to and including life and limb for each other. His individualist side, even if it was more moderate than that of his lunar anarchist characters, might seem at odds with this perhaps more collectivist notion. As I have traversed philosophy very widely for a few years now and remain a libertarian to this day, but also now greatly appreciating more qualitative virtues like loyalty, charity, self-sacrifice and stewardship, I don't find these balancing scales to be confusing, but a significant weight off of my shoulders as it seems, in some sense, Heinlein gets something that I do, which is quite rare to find expressed well. Like all fictional media regarding conflict in the late 20th century, the non-fiction context was that of the Cold War. In 1958, President Dwight D. Eisenhower agreed to suspend the US testing of nuclear weapons after negotiations following a declaration from Nikita Khrushchev that the Soviet Union would do so only if all other nuclear-capable nations unilaterally agreed to do the same. They did. These terms weren't expected to last forever and did eventually fall apart, expiring in August 1961. Just 2 months later, in October, the Soviets detonated Tsar Bomba, still the largest man-made explosion in history.
Oh man, that reminds me when they used to have when the Soviets used to have that boat that was basically just a giant nuclear device.
Oh
I forgot
yeah.
what it was called, but it was basically like a dead man switch.
Yeah. I think it's literally translated as the dead man's hand.
Bub, something that can destroy a whole half of the planet with one explosion. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, we've also surpassed that at this point. We can, everyone can just die at the press of a single button. So I mean, no point in
Scary
worrying about it.
AF. Scary AF. That's why I hope I'm either at ground zero so that it's instant, or I'm accidentally so far away, below the equator, where, there's at least some chance of survival.
Or you can be in the spot where a frozen pizza cooks perfectly. That's the best spot to be in. Anyways,
I hope
let
that
us
seems to you
continue.
like an unbelievably short time frame to develop such a bomb, going from no nuclear development, 2 months, biggest bomb ever made, because it is. Soviet scientists had been operating at full capacity for these 2.5 years of supposed amnesty, leaving the West, who'd followed the rules, completely embarrassed, sucker-punched, and at an existential disadvantage, all because they trusted the communists. Heinlein saw this coming.
Biggest mistake anyone has ever made, trusting anybody that's a lefty like that. McCarthy was right, and he wasn't allowed to go far enough.
And Starship Troopers was published right in the middle of this affair in 1959, before the Soviet duplicity had been confirmed so dramatically. In the novel, future humanity lets its guard down and is struck by an intentionally launched asteroid, an obvious metaphor to a nuclear bomb, by a hostile alien species. These aliens are described as arachnids or bugs, and are creatures of an intelligent hive mind, do not forget that bit, and fire this asteroid at Earth after some ongoing small-scale border conflicts of the edges of their shared territories. The Human Federation declared a quarantine in these areas of conflict and forbade humans from creating new colonies there in order to avoid provoking the arachnids. Some humans continued to against this command, and this is where the hive mind nature becomes critical. Humans are individuals, yet social creatures. We require human interaction and cooperation to keep ourselves functioning, and this has an obvious reciprocal result. It incentivizes us to operate according to mutual benefit. You scratch my back, and I scratch yours. Whilst some humans are prone to predation and violence, such behaviour is unnatural to us, and neither the norm nor sustainable. If we simply killed everyone else, then nobody could scratch our backs, so cooperation is our primary natural instinct. That phrase regarding scratching can be called a communal exchange, but there is a critical one-letter word within it. I. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Like I quoted from Prof earlier, a group of humans is quite simply the sum of the individuals within that group, and the fact of individuals and groups as being real and good symbiotic things should never be forgotten. To me, this really does create a fascinating synthesis and is the engine of the eye-watering beauty that humans can accomplish together. But the arachnids don't just simply not understand this, they can't even comprehend it. A hive mind has no concept of the word I. A creature in a hive mind is not an individual, it is a component. As such, the sum of these components is not a group, but is the fullness of the hive mind itself. Some humans disobey the Federation and provoke the arachnids, or should I say arachnid as singular from now on to illustrate, and so the arachnid then views human, singular, as an enemy which must be exterminated. It does not just attack the humans in these dissenting colonies, it attacks human and aims straight for the jugular. This hive mind nature is a clear allegory to communism, embodied as it was at the time in the Soviet Union, which Heinlein was out to depict.
I mean, he knows his stuff.
Yep. Just keep going.
One thing, though, right, that he does have wrong is the inherent nature of existence. Which I understand, though. It's what he thinks. Despite the evidence to the contrary for millennia. But it is a nice thought to think, right, that other people are, not inherently dangerous.
Well, we aren't, though, just like inherently, because we do recognize that's the reason family exists, essentially, is out of the fact of need for each other to succeed.
No, I'm not talking about, just maliciousness by itself or, aggression or whatever. I'm talking about the inherent danger factor each human poses to each human just by dint of existence, right? There is always that potential for conflict. That's always present. Just like in reality with climate, animals, nature, all the rest of reality lines up with that. I mean, it's a nice idea to think, everybody can be perfectly peaceful, always. Unfortunately, it's just that, a nice idea.
Is that a fair allegory? After all, the writings of seminal communists such as Marx, Engels...
Maybe I should expand a bit on that. Because some people will take that as oh, well, we're pre-wired to be evil. I mean, they're not technically wrong, but not in the way that you would think, right? Because everybody does have the capacity for both or either one. I mean, that's just how containers work. And us being the conscious beings we are containers of a type. So, what fills into us more? Good or bad? And do we control the spout or not, essentially? Right? But the fact that that could be an either or and is not a definite for either thing means that potentiality is always there and that potential for conflict is also always present.
and Bakunin include language and concepts that try to frame their ideologies in a way which reinforces this ethos of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Because those authors must identify this is critical to human nature. But the fundamental tenet of shared property cannot be separated from that of shared personhood, and so the tenet becomes scratch our back or be purged. That is not how humans operate sustainably. This is the precise reason why communism has so famously failed every time it was tried. The choice of the individual to engage in matters of mutual benefit out of self-interest is removed, and as our nature is that of a social individual, which are two things that complement rather than contradict, communism can quite simply be understood as anti-human, and so be called in a sense alien. It is in reality a far greater evil in its essence than the arachnid, which is morally no different to a hungry lion eating a human child. It has no capacity for morality, and so it is not only feeble, but stupid to hold it to moral standards. Lions should only be treated and judged as what they are. They are simple, yet graceful animals who contribute to the balance of the wilderness and ought to continue doing so. But if one comes for your child, don't try to reason with it, grab a gun and turn it into an exotic rug.
Absolute facts. I like this kid. He's on the right track. And isn't it funny that we were just talking about this not even 5 seconds ago?
Yeah,
That's great.
see, I think you misconstrued what he meant, though, by humans are inherent, like, violence is inherently anti-human. It's not that it's inherently so, it's that it's unsustainable for us, more or less. That's what I feel about it.
Wait a minute. I think you mixed two things together there.
No?
You sure? Because I was talking about him saying that humans are inherently peaceful creatures.
Well, yeah. No, see, I was mentioning the conversation previous about the previous set of points.
About hierarchies or power structures or whatever.
Yeah.
And what did you say about it?
Oh, I said that it's not that humans aren't inherently peaceful or aggressive. It's just the fact that we have aggression, however, it's not sustainable, so we default to peace. In essence.
No, that tends to change really depending on where you were and who you were.
I guess.
I mean, if you're talking about the default temperament when it comes to dealing with things, on the if that's what you're talking about specifically, well then certain types of humans have the greater capacity leaning towards that as kind of like a conscious default versus others, right?
Well, yeah, that's what he mentioned.
Okay. I'll
You
take your word for it because I don't want to
just
go all the way back.
How much worse then?
Alright. Let us continue.
But yeah, if that's what he meant, then he's right.
Yeah.
And is it as a human capable of moral understanding as we are, and therefore beholden to justified moral standards, to deliberately defy our nature out of choice and follow something anti-human? That makes the inhumanity of communism more alien to us in principle than an animal, terrestrial or extraterrestrial. Would it be wise to negotiate with a group such as that? Eisenhower did negotiate with them as equals, and can you say that he made the right choice? Now, on the other hand, let's look at the Federation in the novel. The book opens with Rico taking part in a raid against a different alien species that doesn't appear in the movie, with which humanity is engaged in a border and resource dispute. This species is an ideological middle ground between the social individuals of humanity and the collectivist arachnid, and as such they can potentially be negotiated with. The negotiations fail due to this discrepancy, and the humans defend their legal claim of this property through military action. The raid is swift, surgical, and deadly, an exemplary display of the military term violence of action, where speed, strength, and surprise are used to overwhelm your enemy before they can sufficiently respond. The soldiers are ordered to destroy enemy military infrastructure and personnel.
I get it's training, but this distracts me so hard.
It's just stock footage.
I know, but I spent so damn long being turned on to, train. Right? I have been a leader, mentor, trainer, like at every level, and well, every level an enlisted can get to. Um, and it just when I see some of these, it drives me up the goddamn wall.
I
I
guess fair
mean,
enough.
oh, it's so hard to turn that off and just be like, no, just go with it, just let it pass.
Well,
It'll be
it's
out of your
literally
sight.
just there for. It's literally gonna go away in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I know, but that for me is like that for me is like trying to think of something more relatable to your generation.
Old man using a phone.
No, it's kind of like you thinking the way you are invested into something, and even though you no longer need to be, it's still something that you know your almonds get activated with. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
It's like that, right? Like I see them training, I'm like, look, I know it's training, but god damn it, these things. Oh man, I gotta look past it. Speaking of, right?
The book opens with Rico taking part in a raid against a different alien species that doesn't appear in the movie, with which humanity is engaged in a border and resource dispute. This species is an ideological middle ground between the social individuals of humanity and the collectivist arachnid, and as
I really don't know if they would have. It's a little questionable if they would have added them into the movie.
Oh no, the skinnies weren't added because Paul Verhoeven didn't read the book and they didn't have the budget. It's like how they were supposed to originally have Marauder suits in the movie, but they just literally didn't have the budget for it.
Yeah, they run out
Um,
and shit.
yeah,
But still, like,
though they did include the skinnies in the CGI show Rajak's Roughnecks, which is set in a different universe than the. It's like a middle ground between the book universe and the '90s film universe
okay. But yeah,
because it has Marauder suits, but everything is a Marauder suit and they're all different. It's so annoying. And they're all numbered the same as well because it's just the Marauder 1, but you could be referring to like 7 different things. Like, what is a Merita rifle?
I mean, I get that. But I don't know
It's
how
like
it
the
would have.
USM1 problem.
But I don't know what it would have been like if they had added them in.
Uh, it it wouldn't have changed too much. They didn't actually do a ton. They pretty much just existed to show uh relations between
Contrast,
the Federation.
basically
It would
contrast
have
characters.
yeah, essentially it would have just been the raid section from the start. So it would just be opening of movie instead of the Klindatu drop with like the cameraman.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be Rico and 4 other guys just tearing through skinny buildings because they didn't actually kill that many skinnies because they were instructed not to not harm the civilians. So it would literally just be watching Marauder suits destroy buildings. So you can see why that didn't make it in the budget.
I mean, oh yeah. But as a what if, you think they wouldn't have changed much?
I think they would have been cool to see because I like the skinnies. If you watch the CGI show, they're pretty cool in there. They get mind controlled by the bugs, so they would have been an antagonist turned ally because that's what happened to them basically, and they were just sent down with the normal infantry and the mobile infantry to act as just more cannon fodder.
Well, I mean, I know all that, but do you think the movie would have had the same impact?
Uh, Probably. I don't think it changes too much if they are or aren't in. and especially since it doesn't fit with Paul Verhoeven's vision of what he's trying to do, it would actually hurt the agenda he's trying to push with the film, because it shows that
Yeah, that's
that the Human
true.
Federation, because it shows that the Human Federation is actually smart enough to reason with the aliens.
That they're reasonable at all.
Well, no, because if you look at, he'll get to this later, but the Federation isn't like fascist by any means,
No,
not
I mean,
in any
like,
traditional sense.
I mean, like, you
Well,
know,
yeah, it shows they're not the bad guys, which is what he was trying to push, even though he fails at that pretty hard.
yeah.
Oh no, a society where everyone's beautiful, and the only downside is that you have to join the military for 2 years to be able to vote. Woe is you.
Oh, you actually have to earn your say to change everything for everybody else.
It's a
potentially?
meritocracy and limited democracy. That's it.
Oh,
I know, not everyone deserves to vote.
so true. Because the people are retarded.
Which they can potentially be negotiated with. The negotiations fail due to this discrepancy, and the humans defend their legal claim of this property through military action. The raid is swift, surgical, and deadly, an exemplary display of the military term violence of action, where speed, strength, and surprise are used to overwhelm your enemy before they can sufficiently respond. The soldiers are ordered to destroy enemy military infrastructure and personnel and tolerate no resistance so that they can successfully establish their dominance and send the message that they are not to be messed with. It's much nicer to negotiate with us as rational beings, because you might want more of our carrots than we're offering, but you'll have an unpleasant introduction to our stick if you try to take them. We would like to feed you, and it's in your best interest to accept the mutual benefit rather than to take what isn't yours. And the defeated alien race do come to see the truth in this. They give up their competing claim and even ally with the Federation shortly afterwards. But a hive mind does not understand mutual benefit. It does not recognise any carrots as belonging to you, and it will take them unless, you guessed it, you grab a gun and turn it into a new pair of shoes. The Federation does let its guard down. It tries to appease the arachnid, and like the US after the dissolution of the nuclear testing memorandum, finds its placement of trust to be disastrously naive. The Federation itself is a limited democracy, where all people have protected rights to freedom of speech and association, and there are no variations in law on the grounds of race or sex. Political office and voting, however, are limited only to people who've served in the military for 5 years or the civil service for 10.
Why are only citizens allowed to vote?
It's a reward. What
So
the
that's the
Federation
difference
gives you for
between the
doing
book
federal-
and movie.
Hmm?
In the book, it's 5 to 10 years. In the movie, it's 2 years of service.
Yeah.
Slight discrepancy.
Do you think maybe he was just trying to... Maybe he was trying to downplay it?
Well, no. So the difference is also in the book, after your 5 to 10 years, that's it. But in the movie, it's 2 years. But if anything pops up, you're in the military till it's over, type thing. You know what I mean? It's like how the reserves can get drafted.
Yeah.
That's basically what the clause is that it's 2 years or until your service is done as determined by the Federation.
So then maybe he was trying to make it seem worse, I guess?
Well, yeah, because he shows people, like Rico's teacher,
Trying to
on,
portray
one
them
sec.
as basically warmongers. Filler footage because this part gets copyright striked no matter what I do. No, it's not because of copyright. It's because they hate the fact that, they put together something good unintentionally. Anyway, continuing.
service.
No. Something given has no value. Look, when you vote, you are exercising political authority. You're using force. And force, my friends, is violence. The supreme authority from which all other authority is derived.
My mother always said violence never solves
Okay,
anything.
I'm back. Sorry, I missed all that. My mom called. All right, what's up? Actually, let me finish my point, and then we can see your reaction. So,
Okay.
what he was trying to do with the movie, with like Rico's teachers and the recruiter, is show that well, you're pretty much forever in the military, because even after his teacher lost his arm, he gets put right back in charge of Razak's Roughnecks. So it shows that it's trying to push the angle that in this society, military service is forever, and that nothing else matters, more or less.
Which, I mean, yeah, so that sounds like he was trying to portray it much more than it was.
Yeah, but that's failing to recognize that like 5 million people just died in 3 hours. So the situation was kind of dire. You don't put a guy out who has no arms and no legs into the field unless stuff's really bad. You know?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, say it's either here nor there, really, because if you need bodies, you need bodies. That's about it. But as far as like,
that's exactly the point.
as far as like the, extension of service for perpetuity, yeah, that makes sense. He was trying to make it look a lot worse than it actually was. He must have not really liked that at all. Like, he was
Well,
like,
no,
man,
and Rajak chose to came back. He chose to rejoin the military. So
well, yeah, I know that. I'm just saying, like, him doing what he did with the movie, like, you could tell he was trying to push his own
Paul?
special sauce.
Paul Verhoeven was trying to push an agenda with Starship Troopers. What he failed to recognize is that Robert A. Heinlein made it so his universe can only be portrayed in the way he wants it to be shown. You will only show a perfect society at the cost of military service.
Facts.
And strict laws. Oh no, the murderers are put to death.
Dun, 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 dun.
You know what the city fathers of Hiroshima would say about that? You.
They probably wouldn't say anything. Hiroshima was destroyed.
Correct. Naked force has resolved more issues throughout history than any other factor. The contrary opinion, that violence never solves anything, is wishful thinking at its worst. People who forget that always pay.
So rather than this state being fascist, as it's so often accused, it's more likely to be a bellocracy, a political system I'm pretty sure we've never actually seen in the real world, but we don't have enough information to say precisely what kind of government the Federation is. The fact is that all people have a choice at their disposal. You can take on great risk and make a personal sacrifice for this society in order to be able to affect how it is governed, or you cannot. Which, rephrased, is a very simple question. Do you have what it takes to defend the country and the policies that you want to govern, or do you want to rattle your saber from behind real soldiers and send them to die while you're too scared to fight?
What's the moral difference, if any, between a civilian and a citizen?
A citizen accepts personal responsibility for the safety of the body politic, defending it with his life. A civilian does not.
The exact words of the text. But do you understand it? Do you believe it?
I don't know.
Of course you don't. I doubt anyone here would recognize civic virtue if it reached up and bit you in the ass.
You can critique this style of government, and I have my
I mean, he's not wrong. They really don't know shit at that point.
own thoughts on how, but I wager it's hard to call it unreasonable or despicable. And what is the result of this system? A brilliantly maintained, highly trusting, well-to-do, affluent, disciplined, and virtuous society. Oh wait, I forgot. That is what fascism means to the progressive, because they can easily bludgeon you as the no F word if you complain about the dysfunctional, dirty, and dangerous society that they now subject us to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not enough people want to learn more about where all this comes from.
Yeah, and it's not like the Federation is the ideal system of government. It's just that it's not space Germany. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not space, Third Reich.
Yeah, exactly. I say Germany because I don't YouTube.
Well, it's just words in German.
The Socialist Party.
Yeah,
let's just say
that
the
took
national.
over Germany.
Yeah, the National Socialist Party that took over Germany. There we go.
Yeah, freaking unfortunately, not enough people want to, because it's not a matter of being able to. I don't believe people are truly just default, absolutely just stupid. right? They can be, they can decide to be. You know, if someone decides not to learn anything outside of their little, nugget,
Like,
then, that's a capacity of choice, right? This willful ignorance. But, it's more of a choice not to, essentially. It's like, look, I don't want to get involved, man. It's got nothing to do with me, even though it has everything to do with me. And you know what? Just like keep me fed and comfy enough, and then just let me grow old and die. It's pretty much your average right there. That's pretty much it. Right. But everybody has the capacity to understand in a certain way. So the ignorance of the masses is a choice. It's not some systemic oppression or whatever. Then again, there is part of it that is on purpose because of the education system, being run by who it's been run by. Make it to where, you celebrate stupidity and inadequacy, and then, merit gets punished. Well, then of course everybody's gonna animal their way to the easier thing to do. But for anyone who has studied leftism to any degree or knows anything about it, no surprises. This is how they've always been.
yeah.
And I think it's a pretty
I also think more importantly within the scope of the movie is that ask anyone who watched the film without seeing what the director had to say for it before they watched it, and they'll walk out thinking it was just an action flick. People only started to recognize it as a satire because the director had to explicitly tell you, which means it has failed at satirization.
Which is hilarious.
So much so that they essentially retconned this entire movie as a propaganda film in universe. Like literally, they did that in the CGI film pretty much directly through a "Would you like to know more?"
Oh, brother.
Which is why they're also not in Marauder parasuits, because the characters are real, but none of this is real as of the most current lore, to my furthest knowledge.
Freaking A, that's
for the film universe. Well, yeah, they had to do this because they had to go so far on a reach that they had to go and make it canon. Because Paul Verhoeven could not accept that he failed as a director.
I don't know.
Anyways.
I would have shook his hand and said, "You succeeded beyond our wildest dreams." See what he would have done with that.
Yeah, you showed your opposition in the most... Yeah, exactly. His quote's about to come up about this whole thing. Let us continue.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Same misconception to think that it's the members of the military who would be the most hawkish, at least in a society built on trust. If accountability is present, and so generals are true leaders, plus are subjected to financial investigation to ward off corruption, you will find very few hawks among them. Good military leaders are cautious to retaliate, but when they do, they will make sure to not stop until the job is finished, and with as much efficiency and as little collateral damage as possible. Which is, of course, a sticky caveat indeed. Can the same, though, be said at all about the politician-led wars we've had in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan? Or the only times large payload nukes have actually been dropped on people, which was ultimately signed off by a career politician, not a general. Look no further to see this point than Eisenhower's reluctance to start any sort of fight with the Soviets, but he considered pressing the big red button to end the Korean War if the cost wouldn't have been too high, which it would have been, so he resisted. And that's a lot to mull over and includes a lot of principles which need context and consideration to properly assess. But like I said before, how did this get turned into a silly but really cool macho cheese fest? Here's the first reason how. The director barely read the book. A huge chunk of the novel consists of flashbacks to Rico's time in high school and military training, where he'd discuss with teachers, instructors, and classmates the principles of this society and what it means to serve, perform duty, fight for survival, and so on. The action itself is rather few and far between, It's a book on introspection about war more than it is a war book. But we were given a war movie, plain and simple. The introspective style is perhaps more boring than ooh-rah explosions, which Paul Verhoeven clearly had a hard time with. And as a progressive, he wrote off this piece of media examining virtue and cooperation as propaganda for the no F word. Very cool. In his own words, he stopped after 2 chapters because it was so boring. It is really quite a bad book. It's a very right-wing book.
Ding, 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 ding. Well, this kid sure is nailing it.
Shocking absolutely no one.
Shocking no one. Absolutely.
Oh, I'll be back in like 5 or 6 minutes. I gotta go move some cars around. But continue.
He had the lead writer, who was a fan of the book, summarise the plot to him, and Verhoeven had it adapted, saying, "All the way through, I wanted the audience to be asking, are these people crazy?" As I'm making this video, Twitter political discourse about Starship Troopers has just died down again, though no doubt it will start once again in 6 months. This time round, leftists, crowning themselves the gender non-specific monarchs of media literacy, have taken great joy in pointing at the right and saying, "Ha! This movie satirises you. Those incredibly attractive, strong, loyal, cohesive, and trusting people are the bad guys. I'm so glad I'm not like that and a
See, this is why I now believe wholeheartedly that leftism is just born from just basically atheism, right? It's born out of, wanting there not to be a God, right? Not wanting to be subject to some higher power than you, and thinking nothing should be superior to you in any way, shape, or form. So, since the opposite of God, which is goodliness, that's where the word good comes from, instead of that, right, to be the resistance, you have to be opposite of good, which is evil. So inherently, leftism is exactly that. It's quite plainly anti-Christ in every way, shape, and form. And it's anti any concept or idea of a morally and ethically, driven, godly figure. So, surprises for anyone that knows most about this? Absolutely none. Commander Wolf, funny as hell they tried to do that with Escape from LA, but as they were making it, they slowly realized that it was a very left-wing society they were depicting. Absolute facts, that's right, Escape from LA, dude. Such a good movie, too.
Or like the bugs. Bet you feel pretty dumb now, huh? And Verhoeven himself said, "If I tell the world that a right-wing fascist way of doing things doesn't work, no one will listen to me. So I'm going to make a perfect fascist world. Everyone is beautiful, everything is shiny, everything has big guns and fancy ships, but it's only good for killing fucking bugs."
Facts. I freaking love it. I love how hard this guy failed, too. I love it so much. And we have Helldivers because of it also, which is a great game.
Ah, yes, Paul. What a brave little rebel you are. Going to Hollywood and speaking truth to power by outright saying that fascism bad. Oh, wow. You would have landed yourself in some hot water. His admission...
Actually, I wonder if he is... I didn't look for him when the Epstein files came out. I wonder, because he's a Hollywood guy. And the greater majority of people included in the files are Hollywood. So I didn't even look for his name. I didn't even think about it, actually. Right? I mean, it wouldn't hurt to be sure. If he's not, cool. If he is, wood chipper. Now, actually, make an animatronic that replicates the arachnids with real blades on it. Then, put them on a breaking wheel and let that thing go to town. Am I evil? Yes, I am. I am man. Anyway, let's continue.
Mission of cowardice is obviously completely pointless on the face of it. But the funniest part is, I can't imagine a single person ever watched this film without first hearing this context and thought, yep, Those people sure are crazy. What a terrible society. Clearly, those bugs are the good guys. But with
Yeah.
how much leftists have now outright admitted that they identify with the bugs over the humans, I shouldn't be too surprised. And I cast your mind back to my discussion on human nature and the anti-human principles of communism. These people genuinely are abominations. But in a time before BreadTube existed to tell progressives what they are allowed to think, critical reception clearly reflected how terrible of a job Verhoeven had done at satirising fascism, and every critic attacked the film by saying it made fascism look great. As I've already established, the Federation
Yeah, they hate that shit. Just like Amelia from Pathways, which is the newest incarnation of this phenomenon. They tried so hard to make Amelia seem unappealing and, bad and all that stuff to them. Because in their brain, they're only using left brain. They cannot access right brain. It's impossible for them. Why? Because they're inherently evil people. That's why. When you lock yourself into a demonic contract, your soul is forfeit. That's how that works. But yeah, and same thing with Amelia from Pathways, the propaganda game that was for kids that the UK made, right? She was supposed to be this evil demonic creature in their perspective. But to a normal person, she seems like absolutely a blessing and an angel in every way, shape, and form. So yeah.
Yo, we're back.
Hey, what's up? But yeah, just like the Amelia from Pathways, right? This is the same effect.
is likely not fascist, or at least can't be firmly placed in that specific formula without more information. But the
Oh yeah, now they're trying to reclaim Amelia, like that's possible.
It don't work like that.
The internet is undefeated, and they still haven't learned, even though they're the most on the internet that could possibly exist. It's like they fail all the time when it comes to these things. You would think, right, with how maliciously intelligent they are with everything else, that these types of things would not be beyond them. You would think.
Bugmen don't care. It's a strong and stable society that works well, and that's simply not allowed to ever be depicted, lest you question why we no longer have one like that. It's the same frame of mind that causes these people to go absolutely insane when viewing 1950s style art and advertisements. It shows America in particular as a nice place to live, unlike the modern day, and so this depiction is a threat to the new decaying status quo and must be attacked as heresy. So, if you saw this film as a kid or just back in the day, did you ever think that these people were insane? I highly doubt it. Is it a good satire? Absolutely not. It has parts which are very on the nose, but in the context of no actual wit in any attempts at satire, the propaganda films, for example, come across as deliberately cheesy and over the top. But I'm sorry, you have to be quite the deformed freak to watch literal cockroaches being stomped on, or a hive-mind creature being shot, which, as I've said, has no concept of individuality at all, and think, whoa, that's scary, that could be me.
And it's funny, because it's just like the Freeran demons thing, too, with the left. Because the left all identifies with the demons. And they're like, oh, Freeran's actually the bad one. I swear to God. The concept of there being a true evil and it not being them.
Yo, I gotta bounce.
Okay. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. See you around, Badger. Have a good one.
See you around. But yeah, it seems impossible for them. Not that they don't have the capacity, because there's plenty of people who left the left. I mean, there's millions of those frickin' videos. Millions of them. Of people leaving the left. You never see someone go from right wing to left wing. They always are inherently left wing in some way, and they just become more solidified into the left wing, way of things. But you never see someone going from right to left directly. Ever. You only ever see people leaving the left. So it's like,
One right-wing bloke made a tweet saying that the film wasn't satire, and the leftists clung onto this
Commander Wolf, it does? Indeed, sir, it does.
For dear life, ignoring everything else that anybody had to say. Yes, it was intended to be satire, it's just a downright awful one and doesn't come across as satirizing anything.
I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all! Yeah! Oh, yeah! Yeah! Oh, yeah!
Just perhaps a more self-aware, hammy and cheesy take on action films in the Schwarzenegger era. The cope required to say that it was clearly a satire, and a good one at that, is red hot and unfit for human consumption. Some have even said the whole film is itself an in-universe propaganda film, and if you have to reach so hard that you're pulling theories like that out of your own backside to try and save face, you can shut up.
What's up? Did everything freeze? Did it not stop working? Speaking of which, well, it wouldn't surprise me if YouTube was interfering in my stream. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. The word right is a banned word. Almost. Otherwise, you can't say right from left. Or that something is made right. But right in certain contexts, they hate that shit. Anyway, let me read this real quick. Starship Troopers is an in-universe propaganda to make the Federation look good. But it doesn't make the Federation look good. Its citizens are so brainwashed the propaganda doesn't even need to make the Federation look good. I just can't. Well, I mean... this should be on like dilute insane cope or whatever.
Hard that you're pulling theories like that out of your own backside to try and save face.
Today I learned that media literacy... Oh, there we go. King of Cope. Excellent. Perfect, you know, a tweet from the perfect account for this. Today I learned that media literacy means assuming that the newsreel footage in Starship Troopers is a film within a film, because the people who made the in-universe propaganda film chose to undermine their own propaganda by juxtaposing it with cartoonish versions of itself. Talk about absolute abstraction for abstraction's sake. Insane cope. I swear to God.
You can shut up about media literacy and go back to watching Steven Universe. An alien species of literal bugs attacks Earth, and we're supposed to think that humans are the bad guys for fighting back. Outright insanity, and only shows that Heinlein was completely spot on in his choice of setting, because you cannot successfully satirize that. You can only end up showing this story and society as he intended, not the film director. And that petty little vanity project only shot everybody involved in the foot. It left us on the right, who aren't fascists but get called as such because we're further to the right than Trotsky, and who are of course the subjects of this crappy satire because of it, looking awesome. It's been internalised and heralded not just by us terminally online political extremists, but any normal guy who watches this movie thinks, hell yeah, I want to be like that. But I'm only repeating myself here in saying that any normal guy is also a fascist to them. The New York Times gave 1,000 tickets for a Mr. Bean movie to young males as a test, and recorded that many snuck into the R-rated Starship Troopers instead. But I've saved the best and most...
Well, of course. I mean, why would anybody expect... You know, Mr. Bean's real niche. Right? I mean, I like Mr. Bean. He's funny. But... Right? Starship Troopers is cooler. I mean, just saying. I swear to God. It's a guy thing. What did they expect, right? It's in our blood to want to fight for some great cause and to build good civilizations, you know, and earn us eras of peace and then fight off the invaders and conquerors and terrorists and whatever, right? It's in our blood. It's our biology. Of course, we're going to go see Starship Troopers over a Mr. Bean movie. That's not even a brainer. But this is the left we're talking about. They're the ones doing all these things, thinking you can just shape humans however the hell you see fit. that's not true to a degree, right? There's a certain percentage you can, but right, you cannot fight intrinsic nature. You cannot conquer, the the evolution, the genes, all the biology, the scientific reality and existence. You cannot overcome that. As much as you on the left wish you were your own gods in your own head and that applied to reality. That's not real, period. Your delusion, your insane mental illness does not become my reality. It's your just internal delusion on by yourself. It's got nothing to do with me unless you do become a problem for me. Then I got to deal with you. Commander Wolf, and it's down again. That's interesting. It says I'm stable. It's saying policy violations. Uh-oh. Policy violations. For watching this video, they've got to be kidding me. Let's see, what's going on? I don't have a warning or nothing. Yeah, I don't got a warning or nothing like that, so I don't know what's going on. Well, anyway, I'm going to continue.
Scathing part until last. It's something I've been going on a lot about lately in examining the leftist.
It's because I'm talking about leftism, that's why. Maybe I should do this. No, center horizontally. There we go. It's saying policy violations. Great. Wonderful. Probably some copyrighted whatever stuffs. I swear to God. Well, anyway, let's continue.
Condition, and is a heat map from the journal Nature Communications by Waits et al., and visualizes the moral importance that conservatives, confusingly placed on the left of the chart, and liberals place on people by how closely related they are to themselves. So, as you can see, Circle 1 is your immediate family, so on and so forth up to Circle 10 where you leave humanity and go into animals, up to 16, which is just everything else that exists but you. What this graph tells me is that my description of leftism as anti-human honestly couldn't be more accurate, and if there were a harsher term that can be used, it should be. And that being left or right wing is far more of a biological and pathological issue than an...
Well, leftism literally is anti-Christ. So maybe that was the anti-Christ, many-headed, demon creature, whatever, that everyone's supposed to be fighting against. I mean, leftism literally comes from that side of things. Anti-Christ, anti-Christian, anti-God. So therefore, since anything good would come from that side of things, you have to be the opposite of that, which is, well, evil. So by default, saying leftism is anti-human and you believe it doesn't cut it, well, then it is anti-Christ. That's guaranteed. Not sure if it's exactly what Scripture intended when it predicted these things, but, I mean, seems like some things are coming true right now, don't they?
Ideological or philosophical one. Everyone knows that leftists are ugly deadbeat losers only out to enact revenge on other people for being better than them, but that's not just because they're...
My lord, I mean, look at these guys. Whoops. What on earth are these? What on earth are these? They're males, that's for sure, I think. Yeah, they're males. But I wouldn't call them men. These aren't men. There's nothing manly about them. They're male. They have beards. Little pot belly and stuff, but they're not men. They're male. That's for sure. Absolutely. But they're not men. I would not regard them as such. They are, right, they're like the pretty ones in the rat experiments. Or something like, it's something like that. I think I slaughtered that one, actually. But anyway, yeah, no, like...
only out to enact revenge on other people for being better than them, but that's not just because they're a new wave of millennials or something. They've always been this way. Marx mooched off of Engels' family wealth from owning the means of production. All of the leaders of the French Revolution were utter ogres. Lenin was a disgraced member of the petty bourgeoisie, hell-bent on destroying his own kind. Same goes for Mao, and so on. Mystery Grove put it perfectly, and
Commander Wolf, not normal people. I'm not normal either, but I'm no lefty. Facts.
it ties in with the trendy phrase,
Oh, maybe I should move my head again. So they stopped giving me policy violations for no reason. And so again, wonder what is policy violation this time. Again? It's because I'm talking about leftism. That's why. It's because I'm talking about leftism. Okay, and we're back. I see you. Gotcha. Okay, cool. That being said, I'm just checking something real quick. Grocery stuff. Okay, well, let's take it forever. Oh, well. All right, so from this Twitter thingy, it says, reminder, communism is when ugly, deformed freaks make it illegal to be normal, then rob and or kill all successful people out of petty resentment and cruelty. The ideology is all just window dressing. I mean, it's true. Commander Wolf, as if on cue. As if what on cue? Is it doing it again? Shit, well, good thing I'm recording this. I'm still uploading it.
system is what it does. All of their
I am the counterculture now. I'm the rebel this time. Fighting the man, which is YouTube.
words are empty window dressing to disguise the fact that they were always going to identify with the bugs, as the director himself did, and when normal people see this art attacking these issues, they're either disgusted by the crushing banality that they've made, or how it's obviously just a complaint that they want to have sex in all kinds of disgusting ways and other people don't like it, or they actually think the depiction is aspirational and adopt it as their own.
Calling them freaks, honestly, is perfectly fitting. Because that's what they are, and they call themselves that as well. So, I mean... Commander Wolf, yeah, stream violated you right when you said talking about leftism. A la madre de Dios, ¿qué estás haciendo, izquierdista democrático YouTube? Freaking jackanapes. Yeah, it's just because I'm talking about leftism. That's literally it. That's the only reason. They have nothing else. What absolute jacks, too. Absolute jacks. You finishing your food, Nova? Okay.
All of their masturbatory lectures on media literacy and grandstanding about how they own the art space, but never acknowledging that this art is better suited as toilet paper than public spectacle, they have created no art that will last in posterity except for the kind that backfires. After we return to a natural society, Picasso and all the rest of them will be a footnote for that time in history where we ran away with decadence and mutilated ourselves, becoming symbols for what not to do, and that society will probably look a lot like these leftists' worst nightmares. Beautiful, safe, and free.
Oh yeah, they hate that. They absolutely hate that. When I was a leftist, I hated that because it was all systems of oppression, right? The way I was taught to think about it was like marriage is to enslave men and children to a patriarchal father, right? He's basically like he's basically the bourgeoisie of the family, essentially, because mom and the children were victims, even though they were everything but that. But let's continue. And yeah, in like media, arts, and the books and everything, if they were leftists, they were right by default because, well, if you're a leftist, you feel compassion and tolerate things and find the bridge of understanding between peoples and a little bit of hippie to disguise the communism. Oh, we'll make sure you're happy and everything. We won't decide to absolutely massacre you when we're done with you and we gain power through your stupidity. Totally not. Some people are more equal than others, so you're a sacrifice they're willing to make. That's that's basically how it goes. Commander Wolf, and it's down again. Damn, YouTube, this feels like a monitor watch or a bot. Well, I'm recording it and I'm going to upload it anyway, so you can see it then.
So, I ran away with myself as I often do, but there's your quick A to Z on Starship Troopers. The context of the novel itself, the movie, and the movie's confused reception. Heinlein was a complicated and multifaceted writer, and Paul Verhoeven is a self-aggrandizing jackass who is incompetent at making his artistic intentions a reality, but fantastic at making his enemies look good to both themselves and to normal people. Leftists are pathologically compelled to emphasize with literal bugs over their own flesh and blood, so should you care that they hate you? Not at all. It's a mark of honor and tells you that you are lacking in the severe dysfunctions which make them tick. Would you like to know more? Well then subscribe and take it easy.
I like this kid. He's truthful, he's honest. I'm subbing. I've liked. Follow this guy. I already put the link in the description box, but I'll put it inside the chat too. So, who's all here? Do we have anyone who has requests that I can get to, or can I just go straight to playing video games? I want to play games with my son. But if people have requests, I'll honor those. I do owe some people. So yeah, what did you think? You let me know in the comments down below, if you're not on the stream at least. But yeah, like, it would be acceptable if the left was trying to find an alternate way to reach the same point the right would. Right? As in, like, what the myth they used to spread back in the day, where it was like, oh, we're just two sides working towards a successful and, progress, meritorious, happy future. We just have different ways of going about it. That was never true ever. That was always a lie. How do you get the bees to, how do you get the bees to leave you alone when you go get the honey? How do you do that? What do you do to them? Well, there's a, I forget what it's called, but it's a, shoot, I forgot the name of the container you use. It's part of the beekeeping set. And you light some shit, you put it in there, you light it on fire so it smokes up, and then you inject that into the hive. And what it does is that the mixture of whatever it is, I forget the name of it, it like puts the bees down. I forgot all of my terminology and all of everything that was going on with that. Maybe I'm just too far up in the sky at the moment. But basically, what you do is that they are lulled into a complacency, a complacent state, and then you can steal the honey. That's how that works. Sure, I mean, you can try to provide for them. It can be a give and take. But from the leftist point of view, they just want to smoke you out and take all your stuff. And then once you get more stuff put together yourself, they want to take more of it and smoke you out again. That's basically it. But it's a nice gentle smoke. You know, it smells good. It makes you feel good. And you're like, "Oh, okay. Take my money in taxes." Oh. You know what I mean? It's so evil. It's kind of like that. I slaughtered it, I know. I'm just, my brain's kind of fried. But that being said, people get what I mean. Y'all let me know in the comments down below. Let me know. And thank you, Commander Wolf. I appreciate it.